try to participate in the American medical system as little as possible. Not because America doesn't have great doctors, nurses, technicians, pharmacologists, surgeons, and not because of the actual medical people who are hands-on, taking your temperature, checking you out. A couple of months ago, I had a major outbreak of hives. As it turned out, I have a food allergy to fennel, or at least so we suspect. But I kept on reacting and reacting and reacting because I kept on eating, of all things, sausage. Feel free to laugh. I'd had sausage like 3 or 4 times in a row. I'd had it in a sandwich, on pizza, and in lasagna. And I got covered head to toe in hives. And I'm just like, oh, it'll go away, it'll be just fine. No, it got to a point where it was starting to creep up my neck, and I was starting, it felt like I had a fever because all that blood was at the top of my skin, so I felt rather warm to the touch. Slightly afraid I might be falling into anaphylactic shock. So I went to the ER, and I got checked out, and they checked my temperature. Nope, wasn't going into anaphylactic shock. I paid $150 down, copay. Physician spent maybe 5-10 minutes with me at most, just listening to me, looking at my skin. They said, "Yep, you got hives. You got hives pretty bad, but you have hives." Wrote me a script for some steroids and told me to take a massive amount of Benadryl and just go home and relax. So that's what I did. But here it is, 2 months later, and I got a bill for a physician's fee. Like I said, the medical providers, the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, the pharmacologists, they are all great. There's so many very caring people who work in the medical field. But what I hate about the American medical system, and why I hate participating in it, is the insurance. Is this great big barrier between great doctors and nurses and the person who needs the service. There's this great big barrier here in the United States called insurance, called payment, because we do not have a single payer system. We don't even have a baseline public option, which would say, hey, you make under a certain amount of money, or hey, you don't want to pay such high insurance premiums. If you pay into this system, you can get basic care. You can get basic care. You might have to pay a little bit extra if you get something major, like you need a knee surgery, or you need like a plate in your head or something. But for basic colds, flus, hey, you lopped off your hand, or hey, you got a major gash in your hand, you can go to a facility and you can get that taken care of, and you can get checked out without having to pay anything, because either you're paying a little bit more into the system in taxes, or because you are at a certain level of poverty where you don't have to pay. Whereas you have people like me, currently, who pay for insurance that they basically don't use because their deductibles are so high. Deductible being the amount of money you have to pay before your insurance will pay everything. Right now, I have probably close to a $4,000 deductible, where $4,000 comes right out of my own pocket, where I had to pay all of it myself until my insurance kicks in. Now, okay, to the insurance company's credit, because I have insurance, my insurance company talks to whatever medical center or whatever place I go and say, hey, because Jen's one of ours, because Raven Blaze pays us a certain amount every year, we're going to make a contract with you saying that, oh, well then Jen gets whatever services for a reduced price. For at least of the bill that I had, it was basically cut in half. So it could have been a whole lot worse, the bill I just paid. But to me it still seems rather unfair, and that's why you have a lot of people very hesitant, even in the age of Obamacare, or the healthcare reform, to utilize medical services. That's the first time I've been to an ER in, well, since I was a teenager and was living at home with my folks. I've seen a doctor or a medical or some kind of actual professional medical specialist maybe 3 times in the last 5 years. And it's because of this great big barrier called insurance. Because, you know, I pay into my insurance. I pay, well, I think right now I'm paying probably over $1,000, a little over $1,000 a year for something that I don't use, basically. And that's just my little rant for today, is that the American doctors, nurses, and so on are amazing. They're really good. But because we have this big wall called insurance, that makes it harder, and it discourages people like me from participating and when I have that cold, going to see a doctor, because I know I'm going to have to pay out the nose for the doctor to basically say, yeah, go home, rest, and drink fluids. Basically, when I went to the ER, they told me, hey, you have hives, and here's a script. So, basically, I paid over $270 for medication, for somebody's professional knowledge to say, here's some medication, go take it and rest. Kinda sucks. That's one of the major things I hate about the American medical system. It's hard to access. It's hard to access it. Boils down to it. It's hard to access the American medical system because of this great big wall around it called insurance. Just my little rant for the day. Peace out, YouTubes.